Brothers and sisters, I know many of you have been getting information on a lot of things, especially this planetary alignment that's coming through. The whole thing that the Great Mother shared with Remedy last night is that we've got to build. Building helps to sharpen your mind, creativity. Out of all of everything that we know, we can't just sit up here and just be in meditation all day long. I mean, meditation is a point where you're being guided spiritually, but in a physical sense, you must also guide yourself into a higher form of knowledge. This is through building, this is the creating. You're understanding the power. Long ago, I told you guys, the Great Mother put it on me. She says, if you want your powers to come in full range, then you got to build the structures. And you know the buildings that we had long ago, that these Moors and whites and Asians came together and destroyed those buildings, rendered us with the power of ether. All right? Those were ether towers where we were able to expel ether from our bodies. This is where you get Avatar. This is where you get X-Men, you know. Even if you want to say Dragon Ball Z to a certain extent, and Family Guy too. It was the buildings that we had around us, and that these beings learned is that these buildings and structures were our source of power. Okay, we had these buildings. I just got drinking some water. I love me some water. The buildings that we had. You can go to Chicago World Fair, New York World Fair, Philadelphia World Fair. You got the World Fair that was in San Francisco, all the different World Fairs, Atlanta World Fair. We had all these machine buildings, all these buildings everywhere. And these buildings helped us to tap into ether, helped us to tap into plasma energy, and these buildings literally charged up our bodies, and this was our source of power. And this is something that is the original beings. This is just some information that was taken away from us. Okay, it was literally taken away from us. And now we got to return ourselves back to this power. Like I say, we can't sit up and meditate. The whole point of things manifesting was the buildings that we had around us. Thousands and thousands of pyramids everywhere across America, the last land you called America. Thousands and thousands of pyramids across the land that lend us powerful on our land. With the Moors and whites and Asians, they studied us. And that's that book called the Bible. In that book called the Bible, they didn't tell everything. We went scoping our land, trying to find out things about us, trying to figure out how to weaken us. They realized the structures that we had built were ancient structures that our ancestors built, and how we were building on top of them. And they realized this is what rendered us powerful. So now we've got to come back into our ancient mindset. We got to understand the true nature of our being is to advance. We're to advance in many different levels at the same time. So we're building these structures, we're creating technology. And this is something that these beings, these inorganic beings, this This is something that they learned about us. All right? So in order for us to process this information, we've got to gather ourselves together, and we got to stop being lazy. So many of us have got this idea, if I can just sit here and meditate and do this and do that and do some chants, and then something's just going to appear. It's not. Okay? The buildings that we had, some mustache on my tongue, buildings that we had were built using machinery. Same machinery that you see today that they build skyscrapers with, that's ancient. Some of them they're using a different type of energy to fuel. Some of them we use actual fuel because we taught them how to turn the oil into fuel. We did. We didn't teach the white folk. We taught the Moors. They're the ones that say we come in peace. And we taught them a lot of things. And then after we taught them these things, they came and invaded. Because they wanted to own us. It wasn't the whites. They were just created. They were just slithering organisms. Slithering long fingers and all of this. That's what the white people were. And then somebody posted something talking about the Asians were here 12,000 years. How did they be here 12,000 years ago? That's impossible. Because they were just created a few hundred years ago. Seriously. Asians been on this planet for what? More altogether 500, 600, 700 years. They've only been here a few hundred years. They're created in the center of Africa by the Africans, which are known as the Moors. We created them. They created them. So how is it that they were there 12,000 years? So much of our history has been thrown away from us. It's been destroyed so that we can see these other beings as the higher technology beings. But if you do notice, the heads are really big. They have really big heads. And those big heads are literally something with the brains. And they were created. We had some of the greatest technology ever that we created. And even after everything had been done, you can go look up what they call so-called black people. Look up all the technology we created this planet, and everything was created by us. The cell phone, the internet, the TVs, the radios, the everything. We literally created everything. All right, which means we have to return back to the creative mindset. But how do we get there? We got there by building, and talked to you guys about this before. So many brothers and sisters, so damn lazy, don't do nothing. I'm so serious. This might not be a popular video for anyone because a lot of brothers and sisters don't want to talk about building. They don't want to talk about actually getting their hands dirty, doing things that actually move their minds. You gotta understand, in order for you to move things with your mind, you gotta move your mind. You wanna sit up and... Our enemies are building everything to lure the frequency of our planet. There are brothers and sisters who still create an orgone right now. Orgone is a powerful technology. Orgone is a powerful technology that is designed to work with ether. You got so many different forms of orgone that you can use. And the orgone literally works to it changes the atmosphere. Okay, which means that when you put orgone in certain places, you can build structures. Put orgone in certain places, that's one thing that's been removed from us. I remember back in the day,
So make your thirst last before you drink.
Remedy H learned how to lay brick. Those different things. When you learn in school, educational, real education is not the education anymore. All they want to do is give your children and young ones a state tests. They teach them how to pass the state test. That's all they do. It's not really education anymore. They don't have any hands-on skills or anything. They teach them how to pass the state test. All right. The key in this here is we got to learn how to rebuild our nation, Atlantis. You understand that? Everything that gave us, like rendered us powerful, has been destroyed. What do you think the whole German war is about? It was the Moors. The Moors really control the Catholic Church. The Moors control the Catholic Church. Moors were the ones that told Adolf Hitler, whatever his real name was, because he was a CIA agent. They told him, go here. We're going to set everything up and we're going to make it look like it's a holy war. And getting America involved, Russia involved, all of their reptilian counterparts involved. They needed to destroy those ancient buildings. Germany, Spain, Russia, France, Ukraine, Uruguay, all those, even Japan, China. You know what I'm saying? All those wars, Austria, all those wars in that land over there they call Europe. They had to destroy those ancient buildings because those ancient buildings were still rendering extremely powerful energy, and we were still powerful at that time, so they had to destroy those buildings. Why? Because they had needed to weaken us, and for all the life of everything, I can't see why brothers and sisters don't see that. Our power within the structures that we built, whether they were wooden or they were made of metal, whether they were stone, whether they were crystal, we built everything because we understood that we needed power. And we were taught that by our ancient ancestors that the things that you build, and it pulls this ether into the air. You had all these towers to pull the ether from the air. We step inside these buildings, they get filled with ether, and we come back out, and we can do dynamic things because the ether from the air filled up our bodies, needless what you call superhuman. You gotta understand this. There for the life of everything. I don't know why we have brothers and sisters who refuse, and you got our own people who hate us. There's our people who they hate our men and hate our women. They'd rather desire white or Asian women rather than our own women. And there's our women who hate our men, and they'd rather desire white or Asian men. Who taught you to hate yourself? Who taught you to hate yourself? You see, we were pulled away from who we are supposed to be. And this whole societal structure just molded us in what they wanted to be. They molded us into being weak-ass mother effers. I ain't gonna lie, they molded us to be weak-ass mother effers. They want us to be weak because so many brothers and sisters are expecting a savior to come and save us, according to the African folklore. Because that's according to ancient African history. They molded us into being weak-ass motherfuckers. I ain't gonna lie. They want us to be weak-ass motherfuckers. They want us to be weak because so many brothers and sisters are so expecting a savior, a Jesus Christ-like figure to come and save us. According to the African folklore in the book called the Bible. That book is nothing but African folklore and ancient African history before they came to this planet. We talked about this before. Hebrew Israelites are nothing but Moors, nothing but African folklore. And you got people over there in a land called Africa that eat themselves. They're eating their own people. They go from one tribe to another tribe, stealing people, and they eat them. Yes, that's how they work. That's who they are. There's some of them, not all of them. There's some of them, the elected ones. They go against their own people in other countries and kill them, bring them back to where they are, and they cook them and eat them. Just like there's no remorse or anything. And they said that that's us. They said that's our ancestors. They say we're African American. No, we far from that.
So I grew up without any responsibilities, except myself.
All right. So you gotta understand that we've been pulled away from our true history. We were builders, architecturals. We knew how to design. We put it on paper and designed it. And then we gave it all to those who could build. An architecture. In order to be an architecture, you gotta be into art. You gotta be into physics. You gotta be into geometry, because you gotta know the geometrical value. You gotta know the physics behind it. You gotta know how to create the artistic abilities. All right, and you give it to those who build, and they're the ones who, oh, I can use this resource. I could use this metal right here. I could use this right here. This is what we did. Our minds were always moving. How we sitting up, brothers and sisters sitting up all day, sitting up watching fucking TikTok videos and YouTube videos. I'm a hypocrite. I'm talking about myself. Watching TikTok videos, watching animes, Family Guy, American Dad. We're not watching TikTok videos. We're watching animes and Family Guy and American Dad. We're not watching animals. We're playing video games. You see how we're preoccupied with garbage? We're not preoccupied with becoming higher celestial beings. You got to understand that our ancestors were builders and warriors. They were creators. We created all types of technology. We built all types of structures, and there was nothing that we could not build. You understand that? There's nothing that we could not build. There's nothing we could not create. Every type of machine that you see right here in this realm, we created. There's nothing we cannot build. There's nothing that we cannot create. Every type of machine that you see right here in this realm, we created. Just they use reverse technology. All those machines they use to build skyscrapers, what you think they use the leaves to build those structures that we had? The same machinery, and that machinery that you use to build skyscrapers is ancient machinery. It's nothing new. It's nothing new at all. All those cranes and all, we already created those long before the white people came here. All those cranes and all, we already created those cranes long before the white people came here. Long before there were these reptilians and grays mixed together. That's all these white people are. That's all they are. The Asians are nothing but gray aliens mixed with some other species of reptilians. That's all they are, with a little bit of African in them. They're Mexicans. You're Mexican. You ever see the Mexican? You see some of these Mexican women. Wow, the body look like the body of a sister, because they were created They were created that way. Yes, they were created in laboratories by aliens. Yes, the Africans created them. They created different species of Mongolians, aka the Asians. That's what they did. Yes, that's why you see all these different Asian nations today. So the whole key point is for us to understand the true history of where we come from as Atlanteans, Egyptians, or what you call Cometics, or African Americans, whatever you want to call us. We were builders, who are always in the architecture, always designing. The pyramids, the structures that you see, what you call the world fairs, we created those structures, as well as we created the pyramids. Even though the pyramids have been here a whole lot longer than those structures, and many of those structures are still standing today. Old churches, old buildings, yes. And they were built to last forever. Unlike these houses, some of these houses, that old style houses, my house right now is, how old is this house? So it's over 150 years old. And the bricks that it was made from a couple different, they used motor, but they mixed the motor up with cold. Yes, they mixed the motor up with cold, because the coal crushed up, made the water stronger. All right, guys, this is Heru Horus, Sky God, and I'll see you guys later.